Get out of here. We don't serve veterans or dogs. What did it do wrong? It just helped me get through dinner. That was the moment Jake Morrison, a 34-year-old staff sergeant and double amputee, found himself kicked out of Bella Vista, one of San Diego's fanciest Italian restaurants. Picture this: warm amber lights, soft music, couples laughing, business meetings over wine and pasta. Jake, wheelchair-bound, with his loyal golden retriever service dog, Rex, carefully maneuvering through the entrance, ready for a long-awaited dinner. His first night out alone in 2 years since that IED blast in Afghanistan took his legs and left him fighting PTSD. He'd called ahead, reserved an accessible table, and felt, for once, maybe he could still live a normal life. But the restaurant manager, Vincent Caruso, was having a rough week. Too bad online reviews, rumors of a food critic lurking, and pressure from the owner to keep the place looking upscale and exclusive. For Caruso, Jake and Rex just didn't fit that image. As Jake rolled to the hostess stand, the young woman greeting him smiled professionally. But before she could even lead him to his table, Caruso appeared, his face twisting from polite to barely concealed irritation. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, eyes flicking to the wheelchair and the dog's vest. "I have a reservation," Jake said calmly, "and Rex is a trained service dog, not a pet." Caruso shook his head. "We have a strict no-pets policy." Jake's military discipline kicked in. He stayed calm, reminding Caruso of the Americans with Disabilities Act. But Caruso wouldn't hear it. "I'm asking you to leave." Around the corner, a table of 4 Navy SEALs, off-duty but sharp-eyed, caught wind of the scene. They watched silently as the manager tried to push Jake out, disrupting other customers, Caruso claimed, while Jake stood his ground. "This is my right. My dog helps me with mobility and PTSD," he said quietly, but with steel beneath. The SEALs, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rodriguez and his teammates, were no strangers to battles. Seeing a fellow warrior disrespected lit a fire. One by one, they stood up, chairs scraping, walking deliberately toward the confrontation. Their presence shifted the atmosphere. Everyone sensed it was no longer just a spat about a dog in a wheelchair. "Is there a problem here?" Rodriguez asked. "This is a private matter," Caruso barked. "No," Rodriguez said firmly, "this man is a disabled veteran, and you're breaking federal law by refusing service." Caruso tried to assert control. "This is my restaurant. I decide who gets served." One of the SEALs stepped forward, voice low but unyielding. "The Americans with Disabilities Act decides that." The restaurant quieted. Phones emerged. Patrons recorded. The tension skyrocketed. Caruso, feeling cornered, threatened to call the cops. "Please do," Rodriguez said, unimpressed. The SEALs made it clear they had Jake's back. One teammate nodded at Jake's wheelchair, respect evident in his eyes. "We've got your 6. The manager tried negotiating, insisting the dog stay outside. "No negotiation," Rodriguez snapped. "That dog stays with his handler." Sarah, the hostess, quietly pleaded with Caruso to seat Jake. He snapped back, threatening to fire her for following the law. Rodriguez's voice dropped, heavy with meaning. "Firing an employee for following federal law? That's illegal retaliation." For Navy SEALs stood firmly around Caruso, not threatening, but unmistakably warning he couldn't bully a veteran. Jake watched, grateful but wary. This wasn't the first time he'd faced isolation or humiliation since returning from war. The restaurant was buzzing with whispered support from patrons. An elderly woman stood, scolding Caruso for his behavior. A businessman declared he was a lawyer and that Jake had every right to be there. When police arrived, they found a standoff between a disabled veteran with his service dog and 4 men who clearly had military bearing, surrounded by onlookers. After hearing both sides, the officers immediately sided with Jake. Caruso's claim of fine dining standards fell flat against the unambiguous law protecting service animals. Caruso's phone call to 911 had backfired spectacularly. Then Jake spoke, voice steady but filled with raw emotion. 2 years ago, an IED took my legs and left me with a brain injury. Rex here helps me walk, alerts me to seizures, and grounds me when PTSD hits. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, my progress, my independence. But you told me I wasn't welcome." The room was silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Rodriguez addressed the restaurant. "We've faced danger overseas, but the biggest fight is right here, making sure veterans like Jake get respect and dignity." More patrons joined in. A businessman handed Jake a card, offering a job. Families used the moment to teach their kids about sacrifice. The scene transformed from confrontation to community. Caruso, humbled and surrounded, apologized. Jake accepted but reminded him, "This isn't just about me. Thousands of veterans face this every day." Rodriguez proposed something bigger, making Bella Vista a veteran-friendly restaurant, training staff on disability awareness, and creating a safe space for all who served. Caruso agreed, and Jake stepped up to help develop the program. Months later, Bella Vista became a model for veteran-friendly dining nationwide. Jake became the restaurant's veteran liaison and a passionate advocate for disabled veterans' rights. The SEALs stayed in touch, forming a brotherhood that went beyond chance encounters. Jake would later say, "That night changed my life, not because I was discriminated against, but because four strangers stood up when I couldn't." The story spread, sparking conversations about disability discrimination in public spaces. The video went viral, pushing for policy changes at restaurants across the country. Jake regained his confidence, traveling as a speaker and reminding everyone, "You're never alone. There are people who will stand up for what's right." So here's the question. When veterans come home carrying invisible wounds and visible scars, what does justice look like? Shouldn't we be their champions, not their obstacles? Where do we draw the line between maintaining standards and outright discrimination? Drop your thoughts below. How do we balance respect, dignity, and business in public spaces? Because at the end of the day, serving those who served us isn't just kindness, it's a duty.